All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. And in this video, we're going to talk about Errol Spence Jr. being a middleweight, according to Danny Garcia. And now people once again talking about weight bullies, steroids, and all other kind of foolishness. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to be in the 147 pound division. Danny Swift Garcia gave an interview about Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford and said something that set a lot of people off. Before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter to the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. All right, man. So I'm going to start off with this. This is just foolishness, and I really wish people would stop. Got a lot of DMs, got a lot of people, talking about the interview that took place yesterday with Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is a former unified 140-pound champion. He's also a former WBC welterweight champion who fought Errol Spence Jr. About 2 years ago, lost to Errol Spence Jr. Now he is returning after a very long layoff and is about to move up to 154 pounds and fight Jose Benavidez, who is somebody that fought Terence Crawford for his championship at 147 pounds. So in the lead up to this, Danny Garcia is giving interviews. And of course, the questions that are being asked right now to pretty much anybody that gives an interview about boxing is, what do you think about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight? Now, Danny had given his opinion before, pretty much has been calling it a 50-50 fight, talks about the skills and the talent of Terence Crawford, and he talks about the strength of Errol Spence Jr. So in the middle of this interview, he says that pretty much Errol Spence Jr. is a middleweight in a welterweight's body. And of course, as a result, here come the Errol Spence Jr. detractors with, I told you he's a weight bully. Told you he's on steroids. Blah, 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 blah. First and foremost, Errol Spence Jr. was not called a middleweight by Danny Garcia. What he said was that he's very strong. He is a middleweight in a welterweight's body. So if you use, common sense, what does that mean? What does Danny Garcia actually say there? He's saying that he's as strong as a middleweight, but he's in a welterweight's body. He is not saying that his body is that of a middleweight, and he is draining down and fighting at 147 pounds. Secondly, if a man can make weight, that is the weight that man is at. It's just what it is. Everybody, take, for example, Terence Crawford, and this is not a shot at Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford started at 135 pounds. He moved up to 140 pounds. He moved up to 147 pounds. At a point in time, he could actually make 135 pounds. Should we say that Terence Crawford was a weight bully at 135 because eventually he fought at 147? No, that was the weight that he was at. They had a weigh-in the day before the fight. He stepped on the scale. He weighed 135 pounds. And he fought that fight, and he fought several fights at that weight class. Same thing at 140. If you step on the scale, Terence Crawford steps on the scale at 140 pounds. He's a 140-pound fighter. That's how the rules go. Errol Spence Jr., the most he's ever fought at was at 154 pounds when his career began. And then for his run at a championship, he fought at 147. which is very, very standard in boxing. Terence Crawford's first fights were at 140, and then he went down to 135 pounds. Shawn Porter's fight, I do believe Shawn Porter's initial fight was at 106, was at 100, and it was also at 154 pounds, and he went down to 147 pounds. I think it may even have been at 160 because when he was in the amateurs, he was fighting even bigger than that and was actually able to fight and beat Alexander Usyk. So the idea that Danny Garcia is saying that Errol Spence Jr. is a weight bully or anything like that is just not true. First, that did not come out of his mouth because that's not what he said. And second of all, he's actually making the weight. If he makes 147 pounds, he's a 147 pounder. And by the way, Errol Spence also had, before he fought Shawn Porter, he was fighting just for the IBF belt, which has an extra little bit of an insurance policy for the fight, which is same day weigh-ins. So when he was fighting, when he fought Kell Brook, when he fought Lamont Peterson, when he fought Carlos Ocampo, when he fought those guys, when he fought Mikey Garcia, he actually he weighed in at 147, and then I think he could only go up like 10 pounds before the next morning. So he actually had more, a greater weight constraint on him at that point in time than other welterweights do. So, I mean, to me, it's just silly. And then, of course, people continually throw out that stuff about these wild accusations about this man and steroids, which is just silly. Because, at least the way that the accusations are made were silly, because this man does test with VADA testing. He's passed every drug test that he's ever taken. So I don't understand why people want to put that on him. However, won't say anything about the actual people that really have tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs in their career, but yet continue to fight, like Tyson Fury, like Canelo Alvarez, like Oscar Valdez. Those guys have actually tested positive for things big, but their people are real selective about who exactly, after they test positive, is labeled a dirty fighter. Like, for example, you have Jarrell Big Baby Miller, who tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. You have Dillian White that tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Tyson Fury, who tested positive. And you never hear, you hear Jarrell Miller in the press being called a disgraced drug cheat, but Tyson Fury is not a disgraced drug cheat. Dillian White is not a disgraced drug cheat. They are contenders and champions. It's just really, really amazing how all of that stuff goes down. But in this particular instance, people are just running away. People are just running away with a statement, and with that not even being the statement that was made by Danny Garcia. Did not call that man a weight bully. Said that man had the strength of a middleweight, because he was talking about strength, and he said that he's a middleweight in a welterweight's body. But anyway, I'm sure there's going to be more cooking of that statement. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.